legit, guys, I have my phone propped up on my headboard. Anyway, so we are talking Real Housewives of Atlanta, New Jersey, Salt Lake City, and a few other things. Legit, guys, I woke up to like, I don't know, like over 150 new followers because I uploaded a video about Wendy Williams. I didn't even realize that Wendy Williams has such a huge fan base like that. Okay, so let's get into Housewives. First thing I want to talk about is Kandi Burruss. Okay, Kandi, guys, Kandi at the 66th Grammy Awards, she told Ricky Cornish, he is a reporter for Out Magazine and Pride, caught up with Kandi at the red carpet at the 66th Grammy Awards to ask her about what's going on with the casting for this upcoming season of Atlanta. And Kandi was like, well, I'm not coming back. She stated that, she's been on the show for 14 years and it felt like it was time to move on. I have that clip. I'm going to play it.
We are waiting for a cast announcement on the next season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. Kandi, what's going on?
Well, I can't announce anything to you about anybody else, but I know I made a decision for myself. I'm not coming back this year.
You're not coming back? Were any of your fellow Real Housewives really bummed that you announced that you're not coming back?
I didn't tell them yet. So sorry, guys. I probably should have told you guys now.
I think she, as a professional, somebody who is well-versed and very familiar with the entertainment industry, she was very aware of the fact that she wanted to take control of the narrative and she wanted to take control of the decision. She did not want it to be Bravo's decision. She wanted to be the decision maker for this. And look, when it comes down to it, it is better to say that you walked away than it is to say that they didn't give you a contract or they demoted you or whatever. Like Danielle Stubbs, to this day, she still swears that she was the one that quit. I mean, if anybody believes that bullshit, but okay. Dorinda over there in the original RHONJ, she still won't actually say that she was fired. She still goes on her talk show and on every opportunity that she gets to talk about the show, she still says she's on pause. Like, if you guys watch Ultimate Girls Trip, RHONJ Legacy, she legit flipped her wig and lost her shit because Kristen said that she was fired just like her. And she was like, I wasn't fired. I was put on pause. I was on pause. Like, I mean, girl, you were put on pause for like the last 5 years. I mean, and it's like she just won't ever acknowledge that, your pause is basically a nice way of saying you're fired. I mean, like your show is not even on air anymore. But anyway, now people are also saying that now that Kandi is off, or not off, but now that she has left Atlanta, well, not left Atlanta, but now that she has left the Real Housewives of Atlanta, does that mean that Petra Parks will come back? I don't know. Petra Parks is over there on Married to Medicine. She just did Traitor. She's a very good villain. She's messy. She's like causing a lot of trouble over there on Married to Medicine. But a lot of people have also speculated that Bravo as a network, they're going to focus a little bit more on Married to Medicine just because Atlanta has kind of been lackluster as far as ratings go. And that they are... they're kind of, because Married to Medicine is about women in Atlanta as well. So, it's kind of like you have these two shows that are based in Atlanta, and we'll see. Andy Cohen, he went on to his Sirius XM radio talk show with his co-host John Hill, and they were talking about, casting and stuff like that. Andy says that, they're out there basically doing casting calls at this moment. If you're in Atlanta and you got money like that, you got status like that, you might be the next Real Housewives of Atlanta cast member.
I talked a lot about Kandi yesterday, and I think Kandi's leaving Housewives of Atlanta is now having everyone saying, well, what is happening with Housewives of Atlanta? Why aren't we getting an update? What's going on? And so, I didn't want to talk about it. Back? Well, no, I do want to say, I'm not announcing anything, but we're on it, and the casting is superb, and it's funny because I saw casting last week, and last week I was thinking, okay, this is going to be great. We have a sense. And by the way, now that we know Kandi is leaving, that also allows us to put other puzzle pieces together and figure out, okay, well, where do we go here? And she's a big loss. But I think, it allows us to figure out the future. And I guess this is me just saying I'm very excited about the casting that we have.
Go sign up. I mean, legit, guys, just go onto the Bravo website or go onto NBC or Peacock. You guys could look it up on how to apply. I noticed that recently, within like the last 2 months or so, that NeNe actually removed all of her posts that she had with Bethany. She removed it on Instagram. I don't get on to Twitter or Instagram that much, but when I do, there's certain people that I looked up. And she was one of the people that I looked up, and I noticed that like she had, pictures and posts on her Instagram that she of like her doing Bethany's podcast, and she no longer has those up. I don't know if there was like a falling out. I don't know if she didn't like the way she was portrayed by Bethany, or maybe it's her way of trying to get back onto Bravo. Okay, guys, I had to put my light on because the sun was setting, and I know like you could actually see like light coming from my window, but it wasn't bright enough for my phone to like look normal, I guess. Let's go on to Salt Lake City. Okay. Oh, which by the way, Erica Girardi, her miniseries, her documentary miniseries, I think it's going to be exclusively on Peacock.
1, 2, 3.
Tom's behavior was bad for 3 years. The shit this man did, the fallout is great.
I want to see light. Reach to Vegas!
This is the one that is going to follow her Las Vegas residency and all this other stuff. Now, Hulu, though. Hulu has a documentary coming out about Erica Girardi that is completely separate. And that documentary is about, like, you know, the aftermath of the whole Tom Girardi, whatever stuff that's going on. Now, I do want to talk about Salt Lake City. Of course, Salt Lake City started filming this Monday on the 5th. And there is rumored to be 2 new housewives on Salt Lake City. Monica Garcia, she's out there trying to keep herself relevant in the news and the headlines and stuff like that. She went on to a few podcasts. She made a few posts, all this other stuff. One of the posts that she did, she wrote something like, she must have had a lot of criticism. I do think she's the type of person that, like, you know, when she doesn't, like when she has comments that she doesn't like, she deletes them, because I saw a lot of like very negative critical comments. And then when I went back to check, I saw a lot of those comments were gone, which leads me to know that she does in fact delete her comments, which is fine. You know, like a lot of people do that. Like you have control over your own account. So like, why would you, like, you know, if there are comments that bothers you, why would you want them up on your account when you're the person that has control over it? So on one of her Instagram posts, she said something like, you know, she was basically saying that she gets criticized a lot for being a single mother and all this other stuff. And then she was saying that everything that she's do is to give a better life to her daughters and whatever else. Here's the thing, and I'm going to be one of those critical commenters. Here's the thing. I believe 100% that her oldest daughter, Bree, who is 18 years old, she is basically a second mother to her 3 younger siblings. And I do also 100% believe that Bree is at home taking care of those 3 siblings while her mother is going around doing whatever it is she's doing. And, you know, it's very interesting because I don't realize that Monica is her mother's daughter. She thinks of herself as like someone who was able to break the cycle, and she thinks of herself as somebody who hasn't carried on that generational trauma, but she actually has. She stated that her mother, when she was 12 years old, her mother left her with people in Pennsylvania while she tried to pursue like a TV career in New York City. Yes, her daughter Bree is 18, but those 3 other girls, one of them is like 5 years old, right? The youngest one is like 5 or 6 years old or something like that. So it's like you are essentially doing the same thing, and it doesn't make it any better just because it's your oldest daughter who is filling in the shoe of being a mother. But she doesn't see it that way, because just like how Linda is able to rationalize it to her, because I'm sure Linda could tell her the same thing. Linda could say, well, I went to New York to try to give us a better life, which is basically the argument that Monica is using right now. But again, you know, she's rationalizing her behavior, so she's not able to see it from that perspective. And even though her mother would make an argument that, well, yeah, I left you with people when you were 12 years old, but I went to New York City so that I could have a career, so that I could give us opportunities, so I could give us a better life. She actually does not see the irony in her doing this right now, and she thinks that because her 18-year-old is the one who's watching her daughters, that somehow vindicates her or whatever. Here's the thing. Monica does have a very stunted growth. She was sued by closing down a car wash to take a TikTok video. Can you imagine the kind of narcissism, the level of narcissism that this woman has to think that her making a TikTok video at a car wash is, you know, justifiable to close down, shut down somebody's small business? And that's essentially what you're doing. I don't know what kind of person Mike is, but the fact is Mike has not publicly came out and said anything. I don't think Mike even realized all the shit that's going on. I don't think he's connected to social media like that. I don't know if anybody in his inner orbit is like, you know, watching Housewives or telling him what the hell's going on. So it is very interesting. It's also very interesting because you see photos of Mike that Monica has allowed Bravo to put up. And I say that's interesting because normally if somebody does not give you permission, then you cannot put those photos up. We, like, for example, Sutton over there in Beverly Hills, we never see her husband because even in wedding pictures or photos, family photos, Christian's face is always blurred out. And I'm assuming it's because he never gave the sign off to use his face. Now, with Monica, the kind of person that she is, as conniving as she is, I would no doubt, I would not put it past her to just forge his signature or just do a fake signature and claim that he gave the write-off to use his image. He really has not come out and said anything either way about her. He has not even defended himself. He does not even live in the state of Utah anymore. Supposedly he's in Massachusetts. I don't know if he's still there or not, or if that's the state that he went back to, but he's no longer in Utah. She went on to a podcast and she said something like at BravoCon, Whitney came down and sat next to her and was talking to her and was sweet to her. And then all of a sudden Heather saw them and Heather had called over to Whitney, gave her the middle finger, and then did kind of like a gesture, like, you know, like this to let her know. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it because it was BravoCon. There was thousands of people there. You mean to tell me at this BravoCon event, nobody saw this? Nobody else could back this up except for you and maybe your people, which, you know, but there's no like bystander. There's nobody else saw this, but I just don't believe it. And I don't think she is above lying. We've seen her lie so much. You know, she's somebody who says that she loves owning her shit. She's a truth teller and all this other stuff. But, you know, when she was caught with that whole reality Montees thing, if you guys watch that season finale episode, she actually did not take responsibility of it because what she originally said was, "That's not my account. You're a fucking liar, Heather. That's not my account. That's not my account." Like, that was what she was doing. So she wasn't taking responsibility or taking accountability or taking ownership, and she wasn't being the truth seeker that she wants people to think of herself as, because she spent like a good minute denying it until, you know, Heather hit her with, you know, her receipts, proof, screenshots, timeline, all that other stuff. Then she was like, well, some of it's true. That's partially true. So I don't put it past her to make up something that is just completely bullshit. Look, there has also been rumors that a couple of the Housewives franchises are going on hiatus. There's been a lot of lawsuits, not just with, you know, what's going on with Caroline Manso and The Butler and this other stuff, but there's been lawsuits that Vicky actually sued Bravo. Did you guys know that? It was settled though, and it was dismissed. Well, I wouldn't say it was settled, but Vicky did eventually dismiss it. Vicky had sued for ageism. And then Ebony K. Williams sued for racism. But it's not just specific to Bravo, the network, or the Real Housewives franchise. It's also, you know, there's a lot of other stuff going on with NBC. NBC has a lot of different sub-networks under their umbrella. Did you guys know that Scary Spice, she was a judge on America's Got Talent, and after she was let go, she actually sued NBC. She sued NBC because she claimed racism. I mean, I don't know if I believe that or not, but that's what she claimed, and, you know, whatever, it was like settled and all this other stuff. I don't know. I feel like now it's like if you get fired, like the number one thing to sue for is either racism if you're a person of color, or if you're not a person of color, the next thing to sue for is sexual harassment if you're a woman. I like, legit, come for me if you guys want, but that's how I feel. And I say this as a woman who is a person of color. So, let's see, what else is there? So yeah, there's a lot of rumors about that a lot of the house, like, they are really trying to reconfigure how they want to move forward with these housewife franchises. There's a lot of lawsuits coming about, but also there's a lot of stuff in the contract. And I always say this, a lot of people, a lot of content creator, they say differently and they want to argue about it, or they want to say that, you know, they know for a fact this and that. Here's the thing, and I always compare it to a sports team. Just because you guys are on the same sports team doesn't mean that you have the same contract. With New Jersey, there is, I don't know how the season is going to go. I think people are going to be interested because they want to see how Teresa and the Gorgas storyline play out now that they don't have any interaction. Is Teresa able to carry the show based on her individual scenes with her and the other cast? And are the Gorgas able to carry on without having Teresa as their backup or as their storyline? Melissa really does not have anything going on. I mean, what the hell does she have going on? She, like, legit made a fashion show of, like, 5 years after like the fact, or and she had a fashion show, which I'm not sure why she even had a fashion show. I didn't understand it either when Kim did it. Kim D, I never understand like I never understood what the point of Kim D doing a fashion show was, and I never understood what Melissa doing a fashion show was either, because these women are not designers. And when you think of a fashion show is when a designer is able to showcase their portfolio. If you're just showing like what you have in your store, like you could legit just take a picture and post it up onto Instagram. So it really does not make sense, like that whole fashion show, because it's like it's not even your original products. This is stuff that you can buy from any other person, boutique, retailer. You could even buy it as a bulk item on Shein or Amazon or Temu or whatever. So it's like it's a little weird. And I think Melissa did it because she really didn't have a storyline. I felt like they would be able to carry the season with this cash trip. It's a cash trip that didn't happen. And then I think they were anticipating a sit down with Teresa. And of course, that didn't happen either. She was sticking to her guns. I feel like, maybe if New Jersey did go on a hiatus, I don't know if it's wishful thinking or what, but I'm kind of tired of like New Jersey. Are you guys getting housewife fatigue or not? I don't know.